companies, it must use the word limited at the end of its name, and in private companies, it must use the word private limited at the end of its name. Some of the examples which of public companies are Punjab National Bank, Reliance Industries, Tata Motors, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited. And private companies are Flipkart, Ola, Snapdeal, and Apple. Ma'am, only this much is there.
Okay, thank you, Nandana. Well done a job, but you went little faster. So, is the screen visible to everyone? Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we are going to talk about the types of companies today. And basically, in this chapter, we are going to talk about three types of companies. And on the basis of ownership, there are three types of companies. One is OPC, that is called one person company. Then we have private company and public company, which Nandana just took. So before taking up OPC, I'll just talk about public and private companies first. Just a second. Okay. Please, students, stay back for your attendance. I just said that the register is in the room now. Okay. Now, a private company, by what is a private company? A private company, as the Companies Act says, it is one which by its articles of association. Now, when I say articles of association, they are the important documents which a company must prepare. Or otherwise, even in the company's law, we have articles of association which the companies can adopt as if howsoever they are created. Otherwise, अगर तुम्हें अपने बनाने you can get yourself made, or you can just adopt the same ones which are already drafted by the under the Companies Act. Now, under the private company, the people cannot transfer its shares. That means the transferability of the shares is banned. It's prohibited. In a one person company, we have minimum two members and maximum it can go in 200 persons. You cannot issue any prospectus to the general public where you invite the general public to subscribe to the shares of the company. Now, if you remember, I told you the other day as well that a public company has the right to issue a prospectus. Prospectus is like a document which you issue to the public saying you are now our shares are open. Now you can come and buy the shares of our company. One very important provision which was there for the private company that it must have a minimum paid up capital of 1 lakh or so, or such higher amount which may be prescribed from time to time. This was the provision कि आपकी 1 lakh की paid up capital होनी चाहिए. I'm just coming to what is paid up capital and authorized capital. But this provision was also omitted by the amendment. Now minimum जो एक regulation थी for the private companies that you must have the shares of 1 lakh rupees, that has also been omitted now. And it is compulsory to use the private limited after the names. Now, if it is Mala Private Limited, the company's name goes like this. You cannot use Mala Limited. That is wrong. So, like this, even a question can come to the students that a company name is this, but I will not disclose that what is the problem. You have to find it out because it was a private company. It did not affix the word private, so it is somewhere wrong. Now, if a public company, the first definition it says a company that is not a private company is a public company. Minimum 7 numbers, maximum there is no limit to it. And it has a minimum paid up capital of 5 lakhs rupees and again maximum की कोई लिमिट नहीं है. That means कितने के shares आप issue कर सकते हो उस पे कोई limit नहीं है. See, I'll just give you a glimpse of it. What is a authorized capital and what is a paid up capital? Now there are two words. Am I audible and clear, everyone? Please, you'll have to give me an update in between.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am, you're
Okay.
audible.
Thank you. Now there are two words which we are going to use, the new ones, the authorized capital and the paid up capital. Now, what is the authorized capital? Two types of capital we are going to study in this chapter. One is authorized capital and one is paid up capital. Authorized means the authority, what authority you have to issue the shares. That means how much authority you have to issue the shares. That means how much permission you have been granted to issue the shares. Authorized share is a clause which is added in the memorandum of association which gives authority to the company that it can issue the shares of this much amount. That means if I have, let's say it 5 crores, that means if I was saying, we cannot say it in the case of a private limited company, so let's turn it into a public limited company. Now, in a public limited company, now it is Mala Public Limited Company has the authority to issue the shares of 5 crore rupees. Only 5 crore rupees. इससे ज़्यादा के shares I cannot issue in the public. And paid up share capital is the authorized capital is the total amount जिसकी amount के shares I can issue. And the paid up share capital is the actual amount of shares that I have issued in the market. Now have a look at this. Now, if we take an example, the overall authority I have is of this entire class of issuing the shares. That means 5 crores. जिसमें से, let's take an example that 2.5 crores or let's take 3 crores shares I have already issued in the market. That is the glass, this is 2.5 crores. This is authorized capital and this is the shares paid up already issued, they are called the paid up capital. Now the question arises that in case a company wants to issue more shares after 5 crores, what will happen? That it wants more authority to issue the shares. What will happen in that case? Then again, it will have to take the permission from SEBI to issue more shares. Paid up capital is like water in the container. It is the amount of shares the company has already issued to its shareholders, and the company has the capacity to issue more shares up to the authorized capital of the company, not more than that. And authorized capital is the total amount of shares that the company can issue. To increase the authorized capital, the shareholder must get an approval from the government department again. Now, please tell me, everyone, is authorized and paid up capital clear?
नहीं मैम, एक और बार समझाना.
See, Mohit, authorized total which has been granted by SEBI to you कि आप कितने के shares market में issue कर सकते हो. That means, supposedly, my company has been given the permission कि करोड़ से ज़्यादा की value के shares, although it is much higher amount. Just 1 second. 1 second, I'll show you something else. That's not in this slide. Okay, let's take an example of Vedantu and Byju's because I already have it in the slides. लेट्स टेक वेदांतु के पास पूरी परमिशन है कि वो 15,000 करोड़ के शेयर्स मार्केट में इशू कर सकता है. This 15,000 crore is what? It is the authorized limit which the company has been given to issue the shares in the market. That is the complete permission. You cannot issue shares more than the authorized capital. इससे amount से ज़्यादा आप issue नहीं कर सकते. But out of which Vedantu only issues shares of 8,000 crores in the market. For the time being उसको इतने funds की जरूरत है, इससे ज्यादा की नहीं. So it issues only the shares of 8,000 crores in the market. But from time to time, when the capital is required, they can issue more shares. So here 15,000 crores is the authorized capital, whereas 8,000 crore is a paid up share capital. Now Mohit, yes or no everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now here this I had discussed with you that a public company has no restriction to transfer on the shares and it can issue prospectus as well. And any private company which is a subsidiary of a public company will also be considered a public company. Now this is a very, very important point in order to see whether it is a public company or a private company. And although Nandana has done it, now, but I'll just repeat it for you. The members, the minimum and the maximum, that is minimum 2, maximum this, you all remember this now. Now, for the name, the private limited must be added at the end of private limited company and limited must be added in the end of a public limited company. Minimum capital is 1 lakh, which was changed according to the amendment in 2015. And for public, it is only 5 lakh. That is it. Number of directors, according to the Companies Act 2013, private company only needs to have 2 directors on its rolls, whereas a public company needs to have 3 directors on its rolls. So this is also a point of distinction between public and private company. It cannot invite the general public to subscribe to its shares. A public company is allowed to issue a prospectus, that is invitation to the public to issue the shares. Transferability, private company. Now when we'll read further in a private company, the formation, you will see that private company may whosoever, if I own a private company, I have no right to transfer my shares to anyone. Whereas a public company, Reliance के shares किसी के पास हैं, Tata के shares किसी के पास हैं, or any pharma companies, you have their shares are freely transferable. Now, is it clear with everyone, public and private company? Yes,
Yes,
everyone?
ma'am.
Okay, now taking up OPC. Now, what is OPC stands for? OPC stands for, now you might be wondering that it is a one-person company. It looks similar like a sole proprietorship. But when we do the difference between these two, you'll come to know what is the difference between an OPC and a sole proprietorship. Now, one person company has been defined under section 31C, that is the subclauses of Companies Act 2013. It says only the natural person and Indian citizens and the persons who are residents of India, they can only start an OPC in the country. Any idea for any amendment in this? In the last budget, there was a clause that even an NRI can even start an OPC in country. First, it was only the natural citizens. That means Indian citizen could only start a OPC in the country. But with the last year's budget, the NRIs have also been given a permission to start an OPC in the country. A company which has now, what is an OPC? Which has only one person as member, and it will be considered as a private company, not a public company. Now, OPC, these are essential documents. MOA and AOA are the essential documents which every company must possess. Every company, be it a private company, be it a public company. और जहां डिफरेंस है, प्रोस्पेक्टस पब्लिक कंपनी का होता है, प्राइवेट कंपनी का नहीं होता. नाउ even the memorandum of association must indicate the name of the person who shall become the member in case of the death or incapacity to contract. Now, when I say in an OPC, there is only one person company. There is only one person company. That means if, let's take it, Mala ma'am. Now, there are high chances that the person can die in this case, or there is any sort of disease or illness. What will happen in case something goes wrong with me? Now, it is very important in an OPC that I must nominate another person who will stand in my shoes if something goes wrong with me. Now, if I have, let's take, I have taken a nominee whose name is Ruhi. That means Ruhi is the person who is going to be stepping into my shoes. That means Ruhi is going to be the director of the company if something goes wrong with me. Now Ruhi's name has to be filed with the name with the registrar by me. कि registrar के पास information होनी चाहिए that in case it is a one person company and something goes wrong with that one person, who will be taking care of the company. And here the consent of that person must be filed with ROC, that is the registrar of companies. But what in case sometime Ruhi wants to withdraw the consent or Ruhi अपनी one person company start करना चाहती है. Ruhi has the permission in this case to withdraw his or her consent anytime. So in that condition, I will have to nominate another nominee. So one person company has been mentioned. जैसे आपने प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी में पढ़ा है कि it has to be mentioned like this. A public company has to be Mala Limited Company. That is, public लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है. So for Mala, it has to be mentioned an OPC in the bracket. जैसे हमने कहा था कि अगर LLP है तो it must be mentioned in the end that it is an LLP. On the similar lines, if it is an OPC, it must be mentioned in the bracket that it is an OPC. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Now there are few questions which might be in your mind also. Let's take them up. Who is eligible to act as a member of an OPC? It is a natural person who is an Indian citizen and resident in India to act as a member, and he can only be an Indian citizen can be a nominee of an OPC. Here you can mention by the budget of 2020, NRIs are also given the permission to start an OPC in India. Right? Who is not eligible to become a member or to act as a nominee? A minor cannot become a member of an OPC. He cannot even become a nominee. He cannot even become a member of an. मतलब OPC cannot be started by a minor. A foreign citizen and a person who has no capacity to contract. No capacity to contract, that means who is unsound mind, who is insane, who is insolvent. They are considered to be who have no capacity to contract. How many members are there in an OPC? It's only one person company. And what will happen if a member becomes member in another OPC as a nominee? मेरी कंपनी है, but I become a nominee in another company. What will I have to do? I cannot be into two positions at the same time. I cannot be opt to be a nominee in another company. मेरे को एक position ही रखनी है. If I'm a member here, I have to withdraw my position from the nominee's position in another company. Clear, everyone? Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, can a question arises? Can an OPC be converted into a public or a private company? Now, yes, if the annual turnover of last 3 years exceeds 2 crores rupees, then an OPC can be converted into a public automatically be converted into a private or a public company. If your turnover of the last 3 years it exceeds 2 crores rupees, that means you cannot pursue or you cannot work under an OPC. You will have to convert that into a private or a public limited company. That option is open to you कि आप OPC को किस में convert करना चाहते हैं, into a private or a public limited company. What is the why is there a requirement of a nominee in an OPC? नॉमिनी तो रखने की जरूरत क्या है ओपीसी? नॉमिनी की जरूरत इसीलिए है कि अगर बाय चांस एक 1 पर्सन कंपनी है तो उसको कुछ हो जाता है तो देयर मस्ट बी अनदर पर्सन टू टेक द affairs or the management of the company into its own hands. Can the nominee be changed? Yes, the nominee can be changed. There are options. अगर nominee खुद छोड़ देता है then the nominee can be changed. Yeah. 1 person company है तो 1 person's death or incapacity, obviously nominee steps into my shoes. What will happen? I'll have to nominate. The Ruhi will have to nominate the new nominee, right? So उसमें भी nominee change हो गया. So even if I myself don't want Ruhi to pursue as a nominee, I can then also I have the option to change Ruhi's name as nominee. So under 3 circumstances, the nominee's name can be changed. अगर nominee खुद छोड़कर जाता है, one case, or if I myself want to change nominee's name, then, or if 1 person as a member he expires or something happens, then obviously there is a requirement of a new nominee. Clear, everyone? Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now, see what are the main features and benefits of an OPC. Now, in an OPC, if you remember, in a sole proprietorship, we do not have a perpetual succession. But whereas in an OPC, we have the advantage of perpetual succession, which you read it, it was laid down in the case of Salomon versus Salomon. That is, the company and the members, they are considered different. And even if anything goes wrong with the members, nothing will go wrong. It is continuous. The company will forever go on. So how it will come to an end? It will come to an end with the legal procedure only that is laid down in the Companies Act 2013. Clear, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next thing arises in an OPC. Here we are differentiating them with an OPC and a SP, sole proprietorship, and OPC. Status of separate. This is an. There is no question of identity. There, the members as well as his own business, they are considered as one entity. Whereas in the case of an OPC, they are considered as 2 separate legal entities. That means the member and the business, that is the company, they are considered 2 separate entities. The sole member in an OPC cannot trade in his own name. He can do the business, he can do the trade, he can do the contract, he can sign agreements only in the name of the company. जब आप सोल प्रोप्राइटरशिप में अगर आप डीलिंग्स करते हो उसके नीचे आप अपने साइन के साथ बिजनेस कर सकते हो क्योंकि आप वहां पे एक सेम आइडेंटिटी हो, सेम एंटिटी हो. But in an OPC, when you're working as a company, all the dealings have to be done in the name of the company. So the common seal procedure will come even in an OPC because every company needs to have its own seal. Clear, everyone? And he can sue and be sued. That means any type of case has to be done or filed against or for it has to be done in the name of the company. Yes, clear everyone? Clear everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So even this has the advantage of a limited liability. The liability again of the members in an OPC is limited. If you remember, in a sole proprietorship, what was the case? The liability of the member was unlimited. That means unlimited, right? That means his own personal assets are liable in case of death. But here in OPC, he has the advantage that his liability gets limited. The assets and property of the company is only liable, his personal property is safe. Now, adequate safeguards. Just in case of death, disability of the sole person should be provided through appointment of another individual as nominee director. On the demise of the original director, the nominee director will manage the affairs of the company till the date of transmission of shares to legal heirs of the demised person. Now, this is a very important clause. So, I took it as Mala's OPC. Now, the question arises who is named Ruhi in the case I had already, which we were talking about. Now, in case, let's take it, there is a death of a person who is managing the affairs of an OPC. Obviously, Ruhi steps into the position of Mala. But what if, sorry, Ruhi steps as a director here because Mala has passed away. Now the question arises, नया nominee भी nominate कर लिया, let's take it Kruti any as the new nominee. But now my question is, suppose this nominee Ruhi was not a family member or was not a natural or a legal heir to the property of Mala. तो रूही तब तक सिर्फ डायरेक्टर रहती है जब तक एक लीगल हेयर को उसका सारा ट्रांसफर शेयर्स नहीं किए जाते. Till the time the shares are not transferred to the legal heir of Mala, till that time Ruhi will act as the director of the company. Clear everyone?
yes, ma'am.
Clear everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now here there is a complete control of the company with the single owner. He can take all the decisions of the company individually. He can appoint as many as 15 directors in an OPC for the administrative work of an OPC. And for that, he doesn't need to give any shares to them. He can hold all the shares. Now, let's take an example. In a case of OPC, supposedly, there are 5,000 total shares. Now, it can be 4,000. I can keep these shares with myself and I can give only one share to the nominee. This is the case in an OPC. All the shares in an OPC are in the hands of one person. So when I'm appointing 15 directors to look after the administrative work, I don't need to give any sort of shares to them. They are just appointed by me. That means they are just going to be the employees of the company who will be on salaried basis. Now, these are the benefits or the merits of which we have already taken up. Just have a look. You have the right, you can convert it into OPC into a public and a private company. The rest, all the features of a company are similar. Is it clear, everyone? Can I move forward?
Yes.
Now, question arises, what are the demerits of when we are doing public and private companies? हम सबके merits and demerits कर रहे हैं, sole proprietorship. In similar pattern, we have to do the demerits of here as well. Now, what are the demerits of an OPC? The first thing arises, it is there are a lot of formalities. So only one person, so there are unbalanced decisions. So one person, maybe he is not in a position to run such a big company, or he's not able to take all the decisions properly. Now, they have limited resources in comparison to public and private companies. And this is one big demerit. The sole member of an OPC cannot become member of more than one OPC and then cannot become nominee of more than one person. Sir, अब मैं कहाँ ढूंढती? This is comfortable. Almost the class is going to get over. अंदर coverage ही नहीं आ रहा, sir. Students were continuously saying voice is lagging, voice is lagging. So OPC can, and this is the restriction which is being put on OPC. OPC cannot carry out non-banking financial activities. It cannot make investment in securities of any corporate. अगर आप OPC की तरह काम कर रहे हो, students, if you are going to open up as an OPC tomorrow, now you have to see that you cannot invest in the securities of any body corporate. That is, जितनी public limited companies हैं जो काम कर रही हैं उनकी securities में आप invest नहीं कर सकते. मतलब उनके shares नहीं खरीद सकते, उनके debentures नहीं खरीद सकते, उनके bonds नहीं खरीद सकते. उसमें आप investment नहीं कर सकते. The securities here, the meaning is already given. The securities include the shares, the bonds, and the debentures of the company. And non-banking financial activities means like the currency exchange, insurance firms नहीं आप खोल सकते, loan lending institutions आप नहीं खोल सकते. Loan lending institutions which are not banks, the financial institutions which are not banks, those type of activities you cannot do under OPC. So these are the restrictions which the law imposes on an OPC. Other disadvantages. So this is also a disadvantage. अगर आपने एक company खोल रही, you cannot open another company and you cannot even be a nominee in more than one such company. NRI is not allowed to incorporate. This ban has been lifted up by an amendment. There is not an amendment. This is just a regulation which is given in budget of 2020. And there is a requirement always that a nominee has to be appointed. And there are chances कि nominee कोई fraud करता है तो वहाँ पे there can be a problem. So these are the disadvantages of an OPC. Let's talk about what are the points of distinction between OPC and the sole proprietorship. Now a question can be asked. OPC is like a sole proprietorship, but it is organized again on the principles of corporate world. See, our system, our corporate system or our system, how does it go? When we have sole proprietorship here, then we have partnership here. There were certain flaws with partnership. They came up with LLP. They had certain SP. They do not want to grow and expand. They came up with the system of an OPC. Now even we have the private companies, public companies. ये system तो पहले ही था, but these are the new concepts which have been introduced by the government. Now, just pay attention to this. The owner and the business, that is, a point of difference is the separate legal entity. There are considered two different entities. They are considered one entity. Now here the registration of the company, it has to be registered. अगर आपको याद हो SP में we did not have any formalities, no formalities. It was very easy process of starting a sole proprietorship. That is, only we had to take certain permissions from the municipality, that is the local bodies, not from anybody else. That is company law के अंदर हमें कुछ paper submit नहीं करने हैं. So here the liability is limited to the extent of the share capital, and here the proprietor has unlimited liability. In an OPC, there is a minimum one person and maximum two person who carries on the business. An OPC does not come to an end with the death of the member or the nominee. It has distinct existence from a member, and proprietor is taxed. This is written opposite. Now here in an OPC, individual member or the nominee is not taxed. It is the company which is taxed. It is the company which will be taxed. Whereas in an SP, the proprietor is taxed as an individual, and it comes to an end with death, insolvency or the retirement of the member, unless the person leaves a testament or a will. अगर अपनी will छोड़कर जाता है, then it is a different issue. So in a proprietorship, there is one person who on the entire business. So this is called OC is life from the corporate world. Am I clear, everyone, with OPCs, with the public and private companies today? Everyone,
Yes.
am I clear? Anyone, any doubt, you can just ask me right now.
OPC
Anyone,
शेयर्स
any
इशू कर
doubt?
सकता है?
नहीं, no. प्राइवेट कंपनीज नहीं इशू कर सकते, पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनी सिर्फ इशू कर सकते हैं. OPC cannot issue shares to the public. I said, जितने shares हैं, it has to, only one person can keep it in one's own pocket. That's it. It cannot raise capital from the public. Right, everyone?
Yes.
So just let me take my attendance and then you can all leave. Tomorrow we are going to start with a very important topic, that is the formation of a company. Did anyone see? Is the voice clear?
Yes.
Okay. So did anyone see the syllabus which has been given by the rationalized syllabus by CBSE?
No, ma'am.
No way.
Okay, don't leave a second. I just want to talk to you, Manan. Amongst all of you, because I'm going to meet sir today, you have to tell me amongst all of you who hasn't presented till now. Who hasn't presented at all till now?
Ma'am, me.
You have to tell me your name. Me, I did not see the screen. Who's there?
Ma'am, Khushi.
Khushi. Samrit has presented. 1 second. And Yashika. Yashika, you presented, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Even after I gave you another chance, right? You did it with Naman, but then also I
Yes.
gave you another chance. Okay. So Khushi.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But Netik, you even did not do it. Netik.
Yes, ma'am.
Netik, you did not do any presentation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You haven't done it. So it is. So I'm giving it to Netik as well as Khushi. So, Netik, you are going to talk about the promoter. Only about the promoter tomorrow in the class. It can be oral. You can just read whatever contents you find it in the book itself. That will be sufficient. If you don't get it, you can always call me up and ask, ma'am, I'm not understanding what is a promoter.
Yes, ma'am.
right? And for Khushi,
Yes, ma'am.
now for the formation of a company, it becomes very difficult to allot your topic. Okay, Khushi, can you talk about Rajat Gupta tomorrow?
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
Can you talk about Rajat Gupta's case tomorrow?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So I request everyone, please read whenever I give you any activity. Don't miss it. This will enhance your information, your knowledge. Right, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye bye.